lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
After an incredible race at Michigan last week, we head now to the official beginning of the second half of the season here for the RICMOTECH Truck Series. It is round 9, and it is coming from Kansas Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening here tonight. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Angel Santiago. Angel, a great race last week that you saw from the production truck, this time back in the booth. Thank you very much for joining me this week.
Oh, it is a blast. Thank you for joining me. I'm with these guys each and every week, and it's nice to have a face back with us again today. And I know everybody was loving last week's racing. It was fantastic. Michigan never disappoints, but I'll tell you this much. I think Kansas is going to put on some fantastic action-packed racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a smaller track, 1.5 mile and a half, one of these cookie cutter ovals that has a very unique characteristic to it. It's that progressive banking that you don't usually see on cookie cutter ovals like this. It's going to make this a one-lane racetrack in a great hurry here tonight.
Yeah, it's very tough. That outside lane, you can carry so much momentum through these corners and you are just flying. But the problem with that is you're going to chew up your tires. And, when you have limited tire sets and on these trucks, in 10 laps, your lap times are going to drop significantly. So it's going to be about saving those tires at the same time trying to find the right balance where you can have a lot of speed as well.
Something that could definitely change the lap times that you have, not just the tire wear, is contact with the outside retaining wall. And we saw that last week with Nicholas Vroman, who ended up losing his 3 consecutive race winning streak last week at Michigan because of some contact with the wall, that with the race going green all the way to the end from that point, he didn't have a chance to fix. That would leave the points, the race and the points lead to James Holtzer. Vroman's certainly going to be looking to get back on form this week.
Yeah, Roman went through that 3-race span where he just won, back to back races. I mean, at one point you have to lose. I mean, you can't, racing takes skill, but also takes some luck. And, getting 3 is a lot of skill and luck, but man, getting 4th, that was going to be a tough one. But you know what? That monkey's off his back. He doesn't have to worry about, trying to keep winning so many races in a row. It's back to square one where he was before he won race number 1. Get out there and get back in victory lane.
And finds himself 15 points behind James Holtzer coming into tonight's race. A close battle between Brendan Book and Ed Morris. That's really just 2 positions between those two. Also, Jordan McGraw right there as well in a close battle with John Sterling. So these points going into the second half of the season, a lot of close little packs that mean a lot to these guys.
Yeah, there's going to be battles everywhere on track as there is, in the point standings. And I think a track like Kansas is going to bode well to seeing those battles continue on. But, there's going to be a lot of people, I think that might surprise. It's going to have some good runs today that maybe we haven't talked about quite a bit this season.
Certainly, this is a track that is going to be a racetrack where you do find those unique winners every now and again. Thinking back into real life, I think Joe Nemechek has won a race here just out of nowhere in the U.S. Army number 01. Really quick, we'll take a look at the team standings here just before we get ready to go here. GT Motorsports, a mere 3 points ahead of Primetime Motorsports. So that team championship also here in the fight.
Yeah, team championship is going to make a big difference. A lot of drivers on each of these teams, but every bit that you can get counts. And when you have some of the best on each team, it really does make for some fantastic, not just racing out on track, but the overall team championship as a whole.
It certainly can. As we will take a look now to the grid here for tonight's race, and sitting on the pole will be the number 5 of Brendan Book, beating out the man who will be starting to his outside, John Sterling, by just 1/100th of a second. So very close lap times all the way through this field. Ed Morris and Christian DeBoer will make up row 2, with Kyle Knapp and Alan Hilton making up row number 3. Row 4 goes to Jeremy Clifton and last week's winner, James Holtzer. Jordan McGraw and Bryce Senesac will make up row number 5, with Don Milkowitz and Daniel Holloway making up row number 6.
Back in row number 7, you have Mike Rominger and Mike Franklin. So a couple of Mikes over here in row 7. Row 8, we've got Tom Amassi and Michael Thwaites. Christopher Bassinger and Chris Akers going to make up row 9. Back here in row 10, the Toyota brothers of Rob Griffin and Wallace Boyce. 11th row is David Elliott, Ray Lane, and then Joshua O'Connor and Jerry Glenn are going to round out your 12th row here in the end of the pack. I'm not. Is it me? Am I not seeing a typical name here?
I think that might be a series debutante here tonight, Jerry Glenn. Ray Lane has decided to start from the pit lane here tonight, so he will decide to fall all the way to the back. Weather here tonight 4-mile-an-hour winds gusting to around 6 or 7. Track temperature and ambient temperature fairly comparable, and we were talking pre-race about track usage.
Yeah, the track usage is going to be big when it comes to the grip that's going to be on the track. You're going to be full throttle for a good, 6 to 8 laps, depending on how much traffic is in front of you. So getting the important part is going to be where can you save your tires the most? And this track, having the grip it has, is going to want to make you go fast and not slow down.
Yep, coming to the line now, 135 laps here from the Kansas Speedway. We are green. A great start there for the 5 of Brendan Book. Gets out ahead of John Sterling and Ed Morris.
Yeah, Brendan Book holding on to the lead. Now you see a couple of cars coming off pit lane here, as one of them is just trying to hang on.
That would be Ryan Lane, pardon me. Ryan Ray Lane, there we go. Third time lucky. As you see, this pack already closing up big time and very, very quickly here in the early going.
Yeah, Brendan Book's going to go ahead and lead lap 1, but Ed Morris is all on his rear bumper trying to make something happen. Looks like Ed's going to have a nice run. He can't carry the bottom quite like Brendan did, though. Off of that turn, Brendan's going to pull away ever so slightly. Here comes the 3 of John Sterling to his inside.
Yep, Sterling looking to that inside. There's the 42 of Kyle Knapp as well. You could just see the rear bumper of that number 3 of Sterling.
Well, look at this. Number 5.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. The number 56 of Christian DeBauer, not wasting any time, all the way to the high side almost in that third lane. There's a ton of speed and grip you can grab up there, but you're going to sacrifice your tires in the process. We'll have to see how that turns out for him. Short-term game, long-term loss, in my opinion.
And as this run goes on here tonight, that outside line is going to become the preferred line. You're going to want to be up where the most banking is. And we were talking earlier tonight, actually with the 7 of Ed Morris, about just that fact. You don't want to go up there too early because then your tires are going to wear out completely. And you don't want to go up there too late. Otherwise, you're not going to find a way to get up to that outside.
Right now, Ed Moore's doing a pretty darn good job using that middle lane. He's going to take second back, and he's looking for the lead. You're going to have Brendan drive deep into the corner, but I think Ed can get to his right rear quarter panel.
Close racing up here at the front, even closer towards the midfield, as that's Mike Franklin in the 82 in a very comparable situation to what Ed Morris is in. 2 drivers to his inside, the 12 of Michael Thwaites and the 9 of Mike Rominger, as that 82 trying to suss out a way to get up through the field, and close action there between Thwaites and Holloway, battling now for the 12th spot.
Looks like the 9 of Mike Rominger, he's been in the wall. That right side is damaged ever so slightly. Oh, he's in the wall again here off of turn 4.
Yep, big contact with the outside wall in turn 4 for the number 9. As Rominger now going to have to deal with that, and not good, especially around here, because that tends to promote a very, very loose sensation in the truck. The longer the race goes on, he's got to be careful not to get into that wall too much more.
Yeah, staying off the wall is so vital here. This is one of my favorite tracks, as we talked about it with Ed before this race. And actually, Ed took the lead. Sorry about that, everybody. Ed did take the lead there. Go ahead.
Yep, Ed Morris,
but yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry about that. No, just the track is a fun track to race, and you got to take care of your truck. Getting into that wall, I've done it so many times where I've really hurt my chances at a good finish just because I got into the wall late in the race. Doing so early is only going to make your life more difficult for the next 130 laps or so.
Certainly does, as you're right. Ed Morris did take the race lead, still battling now between Brendan Book, John Sterling there as well. Kyle Knapp, who we ride on board with right now, sitting just over his right shoulder. As Kyle Knapp at the 42, currently occupying that 5th position, trying to find a way around Sterling. It's a very fine line of, you don't want to run too hard too early because you could put yourself back, but you also don't want to fall too far through the field, as boy, there's a huge gaggle of cars just behind them, all centered around Bryce Senesac in the 09.
Yeah, this
big
is
wiggle.
Oh my goodness, was it ever a big wiggle there by Senesac. He's going to keep it going, though. He'll lose a ton of time, however, in the process.
You see that 99 of James Holtzer getting into the top 10. Just to the inside of the 09 of Senesac, as these guys battling pretty much 2 by 2. It almost looks like a super speedway race here at Kansas.
Man, that's just what I love about Kansas, because you can race any groove out on this racetrack. If you can put your truck there, you can race it, and it makes for some fantastic racing here. 10 laps into this race, they still have another 125 to go, and here they are almost 3 wide, diving here into turn 3.
See some guys now starting to migrate towards that outside here as we hit 10 laps into the run, just about 11 laps into the run. Ed Morris currently holding about a half a second lead as that 34 of Jordan McGraw is in a very tight spot there in the middle between Chris Akers in the 1. Now does get down in front of him. Going to want to try to avoid those 3 wide situations as much as possible.
Oh, and here comes James Holtzer with a big run off of turn 2. He's going to dive to the bottom of Senesac. Senesac couldn't hold him off there, but Bryce is going to be able to get that really good momentum. So through just enough of a block where it didn't allow James Holtzer to put a slide job on him, and allows Senesac to stay on his outside and maybe continue this momentum.
51 of Jeremy Clifton with Alan Hilton there in the number 2 to his outside. We're starting to get to that point. You can see more guys starting to shuffle towards that outside line, about a dozen laps or so into this green flag run as Holtzer does just that. He now has Senesac to his inside as Clifton still trying to battle Hilton, as Hilton almost catches the wall out of 4 in that number 2.
Yeah, I would have sworn that he did, but you see it's a clean truck there. He held on to it and didn't really lose too much momentum, so it shows you he was probably full throttle that entire time.
Riding on board now with that number 51 of Jeremy Clifton, looking back at this double file parade that he sees behind him. See, that's Holtzer just getting in there. The Holtzer still in that 8th spot. Still up front, not missing anything. Ed Morris out to a half a second lead and maintaining that half a second lead over Christian DeBoer in that number 56. And you can see these top 5, 4 of the top 5 from 2nd all the way to 5th have elected to start taking that outside line. DeBoer, Book, Knapp, and Sterling. Book got a little bit of a poor run coming out of turn 2. That's going to open the door for Kyle Knapp in the 42 to look for that 3rd position.
Yeah, right now, you see, look at this huge run by DeBoer. He's going to have the help of Brendan Book as they dive down here into turn 1. Kyle Knapp, though, his truck's still handling pretty well if he's able to go to the bottom where he's at and kind of hang on still at this moment in time. Oh, is he going to try to slide in front of Brendan Book? Oh, no, he can't. No, Brendan's there. He can't slide in there.
And that's the big problem here with taking the inside line. You do get the great run, and you can nose out ahead on corner entry. It's just the fact that you're not able to slide back up all the way out and use all of the racetrack on corner exit. As boy, Book almost made it 3 wide there.
He
really kills the run on exit.
He thought about it. I think he was ready for it, but you know what? This is only going to help Kyle Knapp finally clear DeBoer and get himself into the 2nd spot. But in the process, they lost about 2 to 3 tenths on leader Ed Morris.
Lost about a half a second on Ed Morris, who now has a full second on these guys. But Kyle Knapp now has found his way from 4th up to that 2nd position. This is what we were talking about, possibly with Christian DeBoer. Did he go up top too early? It's not necessarily that the top side is more abrasive. It's that you get such a good run on that outside that saving tires becomes almost an afterthought for how good and how long your car handles up there.
Yeah, I mean, you're sawing at the wheel when you're down there at the bottom, trying to keep the truck under you. But at the top, it just seems, seamless almost. It's more relaxing almost to be on that outside in these trucks. And that's what makes it such a fun race. But you're right, it really does feel like you choose up the tires so much more. And you keep trying to find yourself going higher and higher. And next thing you know, you're touching the wall. Oh, he looks like DeBauer almost did if he didn't.
Boy, I think he might have done. Yep, you can see. We'll go on board with DeBoer here. Look at the right rear corner of that car, truck rather. Little bit of a bend just above our ESBN logo there on the bottom left. So that 56, and that's the game you play by going up to that outside line. How close to the wall can I get without getting into it?
God, but look at this. He's still right up against the wall once again. I mean, going into that turn, didn't fear much in the process, even though he's now down to 7th.
How close he is to that 51 of Jeremy Clifton. Now the 99 of James Holtzer is going to start to get around him on that inside line. And this is what we were talking about before. Is that truck going to get loose? We're about halfway through this run. Pit windows between 30 and 35 laps here at Kansas. It's how loose can he afford that truck to get, as he's already having to catch the rear end of that thing.
Yeah, at this point, he's holding on for dear life and maybe hoping for an early caution. But you know what? Lesson learned. He knows what at this point, in my opinion, he's competitive enough. He's got a fast enough truck, clearly, that this is maybe a little bit of an experiment maybe to start, see how hard can you go early and what does it do to your tires, You've got a long race, plenty of time to make up, and you know what? He knows exactly what his truck can do in traffic as you see him just dirt tracking it up there in between 1 and 2. He knows what he needs to do to be fast, should we have like a short green flag run at the end of this race.
Take a look between himself and Bryce Senesac. That is how much quicker.
Oh, we got a car in the wall up top. Senesac's in the wall too.
There's the 3 of John Sterling and the 2 of Alan Hilton, both getting into the wall big. I think the 12 of Michael Thwaites has found some of that as well. He has the front end of that truck all torn up.
I'm going to go jump back here to John
Sterling.
Sterling.
Happened here. We're going to try to...
Knapp gets into the wall. It is just it's a domino effect. Nowhere to go for the 3 and the 2 as they just drive into the back of each other as they got into the back of Kyle Knapp. And it was just a chain reaction from there.
And we'll take a look at it here in just a second as these two now pinned on that outside line. They finally find room. And Thwaites is actually going to blow pit road. Watch out, too.
He makes it on.
Yep, just do, but do they get speeding penalties? Is going to be the question. We'll take a look back now and see. Yep, there's the 52 of Knapp getting into the wall, and then it's just a chain of the chain effect from there. Right on board here with the 2 of Hilton. You can see just 0 time to react. And then that's that contact, that sideways bit there. That was from the 12 of Thwaites getting into the back of him.
At the moment in time, Frank, it looks like we're having a little bit of camera issues. It's not responding to whatever you're doing over there.
All right, so we might have to take a break then to resolve those problems. As we're taking a look now at Kyle Knapp. The left rear damage on that number 42. But nothing that's really hurting him too much, though.
Yeah, the right rear is actually still exactly where it's supposed to be. So, that's where if you got damage, you should be worried. But looking pretty good, in my opinion, I think, right now. If you're going to have damage in the back, let it be where it is right now.
Whole right side looking quite nice as we're getting close to a battle for the lead here, as Ed Morris has lost that 1.2 second advantage that he had. Brendan Book now, who had gotten through by virtue of passing Kyle Knapp earlier on, has now closed that gap right back up, and you can see the gap difference here between these two. Book has been slowly but surely taking a couple of tenths out of Morris every single lap here towards the end of this run.
Yeah, very interesting to see how much Brendan Book was able to catch back up to Ed Morris. And then the question is, how long can Ed Morris stay in front of him? You see, Ed Morris is still diving to the bottom. I haven't seen Ed move up to the high side all that much. We have to wonder, is that what's allowed Brendan Book to catch him? But actually through there looked pretty good on the bottom.
He certainly did, and this is one of those tracks to where you can see what he's doing is exactly what I was about to mention. he might have found that that inside of 1 and 2 is a little bit better than the inside of 3 and 4, and that is something that is replicated in this sim. The two ends of the racetrack could have two completely different lines as Morris now runs the middle, Book to the bottom, and Book gets one heck of a run. So it looks like the 1 and 2 side of the track you want to be lower, the 3-4 side you want to be a little bit higher.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you see Ed doing. He's exploring, as is Brendan and Book. You're going to see Brendan's going to have a one hell of a run coming off of this turn. Can he do anything with this? They come to the start-finish line. Brendan's got to his right rear quarter panel. We got a battle going here into turn 1. No! They're going to put each other in the wall almost.
Yep, they did. They both caught the wall. That's seven of Morris and Book, both just sliding up a little too much. Both making contact with that outside wall. Jeremy Clifton and James Holtzer starting to come up behind those two.
Yeah, they're saying, wreck each other. We want to battle for the lead over here.
They're slowly but surely catching those two as well, hitting similar lap times to Brendan, Book, and Morris, as those two stay well clear of that outside wall this time through, as the pit window just about open, as here's Book to the inside going through 1 and 2.
Oh, Brandon got a great run in the middle of 1 and 2 there. Gets right to the bottom of Ed. He doesn't have quite the momentum off. We'll have to see how it looks here into turn 3. Brendan Book dives it in deep, but he's not going to have enough of a run. It's going to be Ed Morris back to the outside. He's going to try to take the lead coming back to the line.
Morris is going to have the momentum and the slingshot. He will take that race lead. He'll take the lap at the line. As Book is on that preferred line down on this end of the racetrack, can he make the clearance? But you could also see from that angle that we just got, the 7 does not have nearly the right side damage that the 5 does.
Yeah, the 5 definitely got the worst of it, but you know what? Doesn't look like it's affecting him too much. He's sliding up the racetrack. He's trying to pull the slide job, and Ed's going to lift. I think Ed had to lift there.
I would have to assume he did, as Ed Morris now falls into that second position. First taker to pit road is the one of Chris Akers. As the pit cycle has begun, we're in that window there between lap 30 and 35.
Yeah, I say this is where Ed needs to come down pit lane, trick Brendan Book, get him kind of surprised. Oh, here it is. He's slowing down.
Yep, he's coming.
There you go.
So Morris gets that undercut on Brendan Book. Now, will Book try to stretch it a little bit more, or will he try to cover him off here? Going to depend on tires and fuel. He's got only 75% fuel fill in the cars tonight for 135 laps. I believe 5 sets of tires, yes?
Correct, 5 sets of tires. Brendan Book doesn't come back in this time either.
Jeremy Clifton, however, in the 51 does, so he will pull off. Brendan Book still in the lead. James Holtzer, last week's winner, currently running in that second position, as we're seeing everybody in the midfield hit pit road. Christian DeBoer, Kyle Knapp, Bryce Senesac, Daniel Holloway, Mike Rominger, Don Milkowitz, Rob Griffin, Wallace Boyce, and Tom and Massey, all coming into pit road here.
As Ed
and
Morris.
Now Book slowing up.
Brendan Book coming down pit lane as Ed Morris comes off of pit lane. We'll have to see what difference do we get between the two of them. It's going to be an interesting one to see where Ed Morris is able to come out. He's going to gain a ton of time. These lap times have slowed up quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to see how much is it going to make a difference.
44 of Ray Lane is the last car, and he will come into pit road. Brendan Book in pit road now.
He's got that first
here comes
call.
Ed Morris. Yep,
he's got those left sides, but I think Ed is going to have the run. Brendan Book is coming off pit lane. Oh, he still got that right side damage. There are no fast repairs for those, just to remind you. And here comes Ed Morris.
You see the 5 on the track map there. That is the 5 of Book. The 7 just going around him now. So Ed Morris does have the race lead by virtue of pitting a couple of laps earlier than the rest of these guys. And James Holtzer now having to fight with the one of Chris Akers. He was the first one to pull off. So Akers short pitting here has made up quite a good amount of time here, up 14 positions from where he started. It gained about 4 or 5 here just on this pit cycle.
Yeah, and he's staying aggressive right on the bumper there. James Holtzer, you know, if you're going to have the guy in front of you has fresher tires, make him use them and maybe apply some pressure, and hopefully he uses up his tires faster than you did.
And as you do, the field has spread out here through this pit cycle. Ed Morris now holds a 1.6 second lead over Brendan Book, who is now battling with Ray Lane in the 44. Ray Lane with a little bit of an advantage, being the absolute last car to come into pit road. Update from the... Go ahead.
No, I'll say Ray's going to go ahead and give up that spot right there. I'm sorry. Go ahead and update.
Just an update on the incident before. Alan Hilton is on track right now. There you see him in the 2, running in the 22nd position. Michael Thwaites is coming on. Actually, I believe is done. John Sterling still in pit road in that number 3. So those 3 cars, one of them done, one of them still repairing, the other one out on track.
What's insane to me is that we didn't get a caution for that, and yet it basically took 3 trucks out of this race completely.
And that was a dangerous spot, too, because right where the rest of the field was starting to catch those guys, it was coming off of turn 4 in that funnel that kind of pushes everybody up into one lane. And these guys had to really slow down and scramble to avoid, as Daniel Holloway takes a position away from Kyle Knapp, who is coming down pit road yet again. Unscheduled stop here for the 42 of Knapp.
This will be interesting to see what's the decision here for Kyle Knapp to come back down pit lanes. Damage is, you know, still the same. I don't see any additional damage here. We'll have to see.
Might have been an unsafe pit exit, because his car is not going up.
Nope.
That might have been unsafe pit exit for the 42.
Which is very, very easy to do here. Cold tires coming off of this pit lane, I'm sorry. That apron is very slick through here, so it's very easy to kind of... and we got a caution.
Yep, we do have a caution. It looks like it's going to be the 2 of Alan Hilton, who has brought it back down pit road. Take a look and see what happened with Hilton here. It just slows down and comes to a stop.
We're actually going to rewind
on the back straightaway. That's going into turn 3, and that was a little too close to the racing surface for the iRacing servers to handle.
Yeah. Odd caution decision there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got our first break of the day. Ed Morris is currently your leader. Decision going to be... we just came to pit lane, less than 10 laps ago. I don't want to put fresh tires, but I'll tell you this much. The person who does is going to be flying through the field.
I think it might be fuel, honestly. If anyone does come in right now, it'll be fuel only.
Oh, it should be the decision. Yeah, absolutely.
As here they come. You're looking at 5 sets of tires here, which means the tires they start the race on plus 4. There's going to be about 4 pits. There's going to be about 4 stops here tonight. So it will be interesting to see what these guys decide to do here.
Well, while they decide that, Frank, we'll go ahead and bring in.
Yep. Just 1 second here. Yep, these guys just topping off as there's the 7. Down and away. James Holtzer. Now we'll take a quick look here before we go to break. We'll take a quick look at what happened with Kyle Knapp. This is him coming out of pit road on the green flag stop. And we'll see if he gets his tires. Oh, where'd he go? He gets his tires over the white, which he might have done right there just as we flip to it. It's an unsafe pit exit. And we'll go back and take a look at it one more time, I think. Because we got that late look. Here he comes out of pit road. Now again, if he gets onto the racetrack, or at least clips the racetrack. It's an unsafe pit exit. No, I'm not sure what, because that was as clean as you like. I'm surprised at that. Well, in any event, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching round number 9 here, the first race of the second half of the season for the RICMOTECH Truck Series from Kansas Speedway. Under caution for the first time tonight. Working lap 43. We'll be back right after this.
RICMOTECH high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, RICMOTECH has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here, ready to go racing. Lights are off on the pace car. Oh, Frank, we've got about 90 laps to go. What can you expect here for the final 90?
It's certainly going to be an interesting fight here, as we've seen Ed Morris and my goodness, I just completely blanked. Brendan Book, there it was, having a great battle. Now James Holtzer, really for the first time tonight, has a chance to get up here and battle as we come down, getting ready for that green flag here. First caution of the night. Single car incident with the 2 stopping on racetrack. Green flag is back in the air. We are underway here. 91 laps to go here from Kansas.
Yeah, what a great start there for Ed Morris. He's going to go ahead and take the lead as they dive down here into turn 1. Going to go ahead and go right up to the white line, but the battle's going to be for second behind him. James Holtzer's got Chris Akers to his inside, and then Jeremy Clifton's right behind him, trying to take advantage of the one being stuck on the bottom.
A lot of these guys stopping for fuel only. Christopher Basinger is the first car out on track on 4 fresh tires. Almost everybody else, everybody in the top 8, took fuel only on that pit stop here under this caution, as that 11 tries to make some headway just the way the 1 did on the pit stops.
Well, if he times this correctly, but takes advantage when he can, if this goes green, this could really work out for him pretty well. And I'm going to believe the 98 of Jerry Glenn also took tires here. The 5 was on pit lane for a while. We see, he had dropped some positions. I do believe he was to go ahead and fix that right side damage that he had. You had mentioned noticing earlier some pretty significant. As James Holtzer takes your lead from Ed Morris, and here comes Jeremy Clifton to his inside.
Holtzer goes up to that race lead, and we saw there with that shot of the 5, it did look like that right front corner looked a heck of a lot straighter than it did a moment ago. Yeah. As Morris now trying to hold off on that outside line. Jeremy Clifton working to the inside of the number 7, and the 34 of Jordan McGraw making his first appearance inside the top 5 tonight. He's up into 4th.
Yeah, nice job for Jordan McGraw here. Haven't had a chance to speak about him too much as of late, but you know what? He's showing some pretty good speed, and maybe one of our guys here at Kansas, but even Chris Akers, Daniel Holloway, we got quite a few guys here that, we haven't been able to talk about quite as much as in the last few weeks, so the luck turning around for some of these guys.
Yep, and we're seeing the shuffle here with guys that took fuel only versus some of the guys that took tires on that pit stop. Is the 11 of Basinger still trying to work his way forward. That was the 98 of Jerry Glenn on the inside in that Ford Experience F-150, number 98. Down on that inside line, Christian DeBoer, we saw how good he was earlier on tonight, running up into that 9th position after getting into the wall. Still a little bit of a crinkle on that right side, but that 56 appears to have gotten a little bit more righted than he was before the stops.
Yep, I can agree with that one. Looking pretty good for now for Christian DeBoer. Just going to have to make up some spots. Whoa, Holloway very loose in the middle. Great save.
I think he was trying to stay off the one on that outside line, end up wiggling all the way through turns 1 and 2.
I'm going to rewind that one. We're going to take a second look at that because, wow, what a job he did. Yep, so he's right up. He's 3 wide with the 98 and the 1.
Oh,
a little bit of contact. And then he just bad angle going into the turn, and then from there it was just loose.
It looked like inside contact for the 98. Might have been some net code because you see the damage on the 98, not on the 26.
Oh, that's beautiful. How beautiful net code works.
Exactly right.
Ed Morris is now dropped to 4th as Jordan McGraw and Jeremy Clifton. So Ed decided to go to the high side early on in this run. I know he was running up front that last time around. Maybe just trying something different to see what might work for later on.
And we're still early enough in this race to where you can experiment with lines the way he is. Going up a little bit earlier than what he did before does not appear to be helping him right at the moment. But Jordan McGraw working that inside line has certainly helped him as he has gotten himself up into the 3rd position. Jerry Glenn running in that 5th position, started stone dead last, the series debutant here tonight in that number 98. That net code damage on the door does not appear to be affecting him all that much as he is plus 19 on the night after not taking part in qualifying.
Yep, the Esports Broadcasting Network current biggest mover of the race, having himself a pretty nice race here, and good looking Ford truck, if I say so myself. I think we all know by now. I'm a big Ford fan to say that, so.
And even and biggest mover by a wide margin, Chris Akers behind him in the number 1. Well, now it's Christopher Basinger and Chris Akers both plus 11 on the night, and those are the only 2 drivers that are close. And actually, you know
as
what?
Joshua O'Connor.
Yep, Joshua O'Connor. I was just going to say O'Connor's plus 11 tonight as well. Those are the only ones even remotely close to how much Jerry Glenn has moved up through this field.
Yeah, Joshua O'Connor running in that number 59 truck, currently in the 12th position. Truck looks pretty clean overall, so keeping his nose clean, keeping that right side off the wall. We should be able to see him benefit from that, hopefully with the top 10 as this race continues.
Chris Akers and Brendan Book battling for that 7th position, just in front of these guys here. Book wins that duel. As that 56, we've seen him get loose coming out of turn 2 quite a number of times here, just in this run alone, trying to stay off the truck on the outside. And that's what we were talking about, why it's so hard to run the inside around a track like this, especially with the progressive banking on the outside line, is you can't use all of the racetrack to get up and off of these corners, so you have to slow up your exit to allow room for the car on the outside.
Yeah, you're trying to. It's when you're running alone, it's nice, but when you have somebody next to you, it almost feels impossible. It just feels like you're racing on ice the entire time with that back end just wanting to come around on you.
Also, another thing that these guys are going to have to contend with is a little bit of a change in track conditions here tonight. As you can see, we started a twilight race. It's only going to get darker from here, which means a lot more grip and a lot more speed as this track cools off even more.
I absolutely love sunset races, and this is exactly what we're getting here today at Kansas, as you mentioned. So once, second half of this race, going to be a ton more grip available to these trucks out on this racetrack, and it's going to make for some even better racing.
Those nice and fun twilight races always hold a special place. It reminds you, at least for me, it always reminds me that the Coke 600 is not that far away.
I can feel that one. It's like I feel the same way with with Coke 600 and the Southern 500. You know, the Southern 500 starts in the day as well, and it runs into night because it just takes so long to complete. I think a couple of times it's actually lasted longer than the Coke 600, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it has. It's and for Darlington, that could mean an even longer night than what the clock says. Is looking back up towards the front. Ed Morris starting to work his way back up towards the front of this field here. We saw him in the 4th position not that long ago. He's worked his way back up to 2nd. Christopher Basinger right now in that 5th position right now as he's working his way up to the front of this field after taking tires under the caution on lap 41.
Yeah, you know, I have to say this has worked out pretty well for Ed Morris. You know, he was running that outside for a while, and, you know, we were a little bit worried that maybe he's using up his tires up there, but it seems to have worked for him as he's looking to chase back down the number 99, James Holtzer.
But Holtzer has led this run pretty much from start all the way up to this point as Jeremy Clifton running in that 3rd position. Clifton's been a guy who we've called out quite a bit here in the 51 tonight. He's had a very solid run in that Chevy Silverado and looking for a solid finish here tonight.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty darn good job. Same thing with we were mentioning with Josh O'Connor, just keeping that nose clean, keeping the truck clean. It's going to go a long way, especially for a series like this when you don't have any faster pairs in that back pocket. You want to take care of the truck as much as you possibly can.
And with Nicholas Vroman not being here tonight, that does put a little bit of extra emphasis on some of these guys to get as good a finish as they can, to stick Vroman back as far behind as they possibly can, because we saw that outburst, and we know when he has an outburst, it could mean a good 2 or 3, maybe even 4 wins in a row.
Yeah, James Holtzer is loving this right now. Not only is he leading this race, but his biggest competitor at the moment, points-wise, isn't here tonight, and that's just it's music to James' ears.
Absolutely, looking for the best finish that he could possibly get. Holtzer starting in the 8th position here this evening, has worked himself up into the race lead, found himself about as low as 12th here tonight, did the 99, as now he's starting to come under fire from Ed Morris, who's found the outside lane works quite a treat in turn 1 and 2 this run.
Yeah, and they're actually getting pretty good into this run. 21, probably about 20 laps at this point, if you're not including those caution laps on this fuel tank. But do remember they were, I think, out there for maybe 8 laps ahead of before that. So these tires have seen quite a bit so far.
A little bit behind these guys, Bryce Senesac and Jerry Glenn battling side by side. That would be for the 7th position between the 09 of Senesac and the 98 of Glenn, as it looks as though Glenn might have staved off the challenge, at least for the moment, as Senesac not quite ready to give it up just yet.
No, he is still fighting tooth and nail for that position. That's what I just love about the drivers in this series, Frank. Every position. Oh, look at the 98 there. He's just dirt tracking it off of this turn.
Yeah, but a great shot here, as you could see how much these guys are working the wheel. Senesac a lot more calm on the wheel. Meanwhile, that 98, he's almost straight up and down on that wheel, just trying to keep the truck under him, and a big slide coming out of turn 4 there.
I am loving this view. Let me try to grab the other view that I know we've got here. Here we go.
There we go. That's a good one. Looking right back at Jerry Glenn. Just sawing that wheel, not quite as much as he was last time around here.
Oh, but turns 3 and 4 are the fun ones.
Yeah, but this is what we were talking about earlier on, though. Outside line, you tend to saw the wheel a little bit more. That's exactly what Jerry Glenn's doing right now, trying to put as much turning input in that truck without going over the edge.
Man, what a fantastic view. We're going to go ahead and jump back up to the leaders because they're not too far. Ed Morris about a 7/10 behind James Holtzer as Jeremy Clifton and Brendan Book, along with Jordan McGraw and now Christopher Bassinger, have come into the picture here. All these guys were kind of right on top of each other, about a half a second difference from third to sixth.
Holtzer last time around, fastest truck on the racetrack, bar none, at a 32.2. Everyone else in the 33.35s or higher. They come across the line this time. Holtzer somewhat falls back to earth. Not the fastest, but still right up there, about second or third quickest of the drivers in the top 10. So Holtzer still working those tires quite nicely as Brendan Book in the 5 makes the slingshot move around Clifton up into the third spot.
Yeah, the last time around, Brendan Book was the fastest, and Don Milkowicz, he's making his way down pit lane. He'll be the first one right before he goes the lap down. Go ahead and get some fresh Goodyears on there, maybe try to pull away a little bit by pitting early.
This is still early here in this fuel run. These guys are coming in around 30 to 30. Again, we said the pit window is about 30 to 35 laps, and we're in the 30-lap window now. The tires, though, for a majority of these guys have run a good 40 laps by the end of this run. So it's a little bit of an interesting dynamic here. This is the longest they're going to put time on the tires. You got a good 5 or so more laps before these guys can think about coming in again.
Yeah, well, you got to time this out as well. I mean, if you can stretch it a little bit more, we're going to have, as it looks like Ed Morris maybe got into the wall a little bit. Brendan Book's going to have a good run down the backstretch here into turn 3. He'll dive it in deep and take second place away.
He's gotten the wall or stomped on it to stay out of it. But anyway, you were saying?
Oh, my goodness. Keeping it close again. Look at the run he's still got. Ed is driving this thing still. But if you can save or maybe try to stretch this a little bit, you can make this on one more stop, if I'm not mistaken, because you got about 65 laps to go right now. Oh, my goodness. Look at the crossover for Ed Morris.
Yep, Morris got a great run on the outside of 1 and 2 and went right to the inside with it with Brendan Book.
It's not going to be enough.
Book in the 5 on the outside as it looks like the 98 of Jerry Glenn is going to dive in. Yep, Jerry Glenn is in.
All right, so decided to make this decision first. It's going to make this where he's going to be able to split that final run by about 32 laps apiece. That's not bad. I don't think that's a bad decision, really. He about splits this thing in thirds, really, or this last run here in thirds.
And with that, you're banking on it going green the rest of the way, which we've only had one caution tonight, and that was for the 2 pulling off on the apron and stopping on the racetrack. Really haven't had any big incidents here tonight, or multi-car incidents at all, as James Holtzer has just up and left this field here. Holtzer, with Morris and Book battling, has now made up about a 2-second lead over second and third.
I'm telling you, and thank you to those on our YouTube page. We're on Joshua O'Connor, and also saying, he says, listen to those tires sing in the turn as we were on board earlier. And you could hear them. I don't know about singing, maybe screeching a little bit.
Yeah, crying, I think, is what they're getting at this point. As Holtzer came into pit on lap 41, took fuel only. He pit on lap 33. That's when the tires are from, so he's done 40 laps on this set of tires. And is still the fastest car on the racetrack, even with Brendan Book, who took tires on 41.
I don't think Brendan Book took tires. Remember, we were talking about his damage that he had?
Yeah.
So I don't think he actually took tires. But going back to James Holtzer there, this guy seems to be, the first quarter of the race, you don't hear about him. And then after that, boom, he just bursts out of nowhere. And then, here I am. I'm going to be in first for as long as I possibly can at that point.
Yep, and he did the same exact thing in Michigan, kind of felt his way around the racetrack for the first segment, for the first stint. And then after that, just absolutely flew. 2 takers to pit road, the 09 and the 9, Bryce Senesac and Mike Rominger down into pit road. There's the 3 of John Sterling coming out of pit lane. And one guy I do want to make note of here is the 44 of Ray Lane, currently running in that 8th position. This is a guy who started on pit road as James Holtzer comes into pit road.
And as does Ray Lane.
Yep, Ray Lane in, Clifton in, Ed Morris in as well in the 7. So guys now starting to peel off into pit road. But it was saying about Lane, qualified up towards the front, decided to start on pit road. He has worked his way up into the top 10, both by pit strategy and by just brute force of that Ford F-150. Only Ford in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, we've talked about a couple times how there's a very Chevy-dominated field, and then you have a couple of Fords and a couple of Toyotas. More Fords than Toyotas, though. And yet every week it seems that we still have at least a Ford or a Toyota battling somehow, trying to make their brands proud.
It was Ray Lane's decision to come in and pit late in Michigan that kept him out of a podium position in that 44. So he is quick as we now take a look at the 98 of Jerry Glenn, another Ford who has just effectively taken the race lead, having pit about 6 laps earlier than James Holtzer.
Yeah, he's hoping maybe hang on and get himself a lap lead here, because James Holtzer's going to come flying right now on his lap. I can only imagine, as you see Brendan Brooks coming off pit lane behind a little bit of lap traffic there in Kyle Knapp. So lap traffic to deal with even off pit lane is going to be, can Jerry hold James Holtzer off? Here comes James Holtzer as they dive here into turn 3.
Yep, and it is going to be Holtzer. Again, a 6-lap advantage on those tires between the 99 and the 98. So Jerry Glenn takes the race lead for a moment, but he will not get the lead, the lap lead. That will go to Holtzer as Book finds himself in the 3rd position. James Holtzer sets fastest lap, immediately eclipsed by Ed Morris, who does a 30.87.
I'm glad you said it. I was ready to call it out there that James Holtzer put a blade. Oh no!
Oh,
he wrecks!
The 28.
Oh my goodness! It was a lap car of Wallace Boyce. All right.
That will be caution number 2.
Let's see what exactly happened here. Wallace Boyce is out of the way. Oh, he just got loose off of the turn.
Yeah,
he was doing
loose coming off at 2.
He was doing his best. He was staying out of the way, allowing those drivers on the lead lap to get past him. I mean, it's just unfortunate situation and timing there where he just got loose, and that's heavy contact for Ed Morris right there. I don't know what that's going to look like damage-wise, but
it doesn't look like it did too much to that number 7, to be fair.
It looks pretty good. I mean, we'll have to see. Hopefully it's nothing worse. Maybe, 20, 30 seconds of damage. He'll get that done pretty quickly. Still a lot of racing left.
Pristine.
It's almost...
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a crinkle on the right front, but nothing near. I mean, that was a hard hit that he took. See some guys faking. You knew Jerry Glenn was going to come in, and Morris is going to come in here to check the damage. He's got more damage on the right rear from hitting the wall earlier than he does have from having a car slamming into his right front.
I would agree. I'm just kind of stunned. Wow.
What was that you said before? The wonderful world of netcode?
Yes, it goes both ways. Maybe not always the way you want it to, but sometimes the netcode gods give you a break.
Ed Morris, Dan Holloway, Mike Franklin, Tom and Massey, Chris Akers, and Jerry Glenn all coming down pit road this time.
It was nice there for Ed Morris. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, Frank.
No, you're fine. It's Morris taking fuel only in damage repair. There's Franklin coming out after damage repair. And then tires for Massey, Glenn, and Akers. I think Akers might be trying to fix some damage here in that one. He's been on pit road been in his box for a good 40 seconds at this point.
Yeah, you see some pretty heavy right side damage. Looks like some pretty good contact with the wall, maybe once or twice there. That's given Chris Akers quite a bit of damage where he's back there getting it fixed. Currently in 18th, which is where his starting position was. Almost hard to believe because he was running up there almost in the top 5 for a little bit.
He was on the border lining that top 5, 4th, 5th, 6th right there earlier on. Having to come out now as the pace car. comes around to take lap 82 of 135. We're about one stop to go here.
Yeah,
And our first caution for an actual crash happening on lap 79.
Yeah, you're correct in the sense where we still got one more stop to go. You know, you're not going to make it on 50 something laps. So, if you've got an extra set of tires, you know, a lot of these guys have only pit 3 times, which means they should have at least 2 extra sets. Split this right down the middle, in my opinion.
I understand the decision and the want to come in for fuel. My only concern with that would be you were only out on track for about 2 or 3 laps. You've now put yourself, in Ed Morris's case, you've put yourself down in 13th position without a considerable advantage over the 12 drivers in front of you. So Morris is going to have to rely on sheer pace of that number 7 Chevy Silverado to get him up to the front.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it because it was looking pretty darn good for a good chunk of this race. As I do believe we should be coming to 1 to go here. Pace lights should be coming off. Drivers getting ready to get lined up double file once again as James Holtzer is your leader. Brendan Book here on the outside. Got a fresh set of Goodyears for everybody here. What are we going to get? I'm excited.
We're going to get wild and crazy right now, I think. Not as wild and crazy as if it were maybe 20, 30 laps from now, but still, we're going to have some fun here as we'll take the green flag, working lap 84 of 135 here from Kansas Speedway tonight. James Holtzer, Brendan Book, row 1. Jeremy Clifton, Bryce Senesac will make up the second row here on this restart. Christopher Basinger in the 11. Jordan McGraw will make up row 3 as Angel, why don't you lead us down to green?
Absolutely. It's going to be exciting. Oh, my goodness. We're going to have, I believe, 52 laps to go. Yeah, we should have about 52 laps to go when we go green here. Makes a easy one-stop race from here. We're going to go double file all the way back. We still got 18 drivers on the lead lap here. Pace car's going to go down pit lane, and we are green. James Holtzer with a great launch here. Is he going to come across the start-finish line? He's going to easily take the lead. Brendan Books are going to be able to hold off Jeremy Clifton. Let's see as they go diving down here into turn 1. Jeremy Clifton going to keep it low, but I think Brendan's going to have that nice run. Jordan McGraw, and look at Bryce Senesac right there in the top 5.
Senesac trying to hold service on that outside line. McGraw with the good run on the inside line with the restart from the 99 of Holtzer. Brendan Book seriously having to hold up on that outside line as we're side by side here. If not, we're certainly right up with each other as Ed Morris still has not made up any ground in that number 7. He's in the middle of a hornet's nest right now.
Yeah, I think at this point you just kind of got to take it calm and hope to make it through, pick them off one by one and maybe get a late race caution and catch a break, but from here, you're going to have to keep your truck clean.
The first driver that came into pit here under this caution is the car in front of him. That's the 26 of Daniel Holloway. As Morris trying to work his way through. First time we're seeing Joshua O'Connor up this close, battling for a top 10 position here in that number 59 as O'Connor holds service on the outside, looking now at the back end of Christian DeBoer's number 56.
I love that aggression by Joshua right there. You see he started pulling up a little side draft in the middle of the turn there, and I think Ed Morris is like, yeah, maybe I got to go with this guy. He's getting aggressive on this outside. Great run here, and I told you earlier, if Joshua can keep that nose clean as Holloway finds a way to pull in front, we might be seeing him here in the top 10 at the end of this race.
Another number we haven't called all that much here tonight, the 05 of Tommy Massey, not that far behind these guys right there in that 05. Haven't seen much of him tonight. Massey starting in that 15th spot up into 3rd, kind of hanging around the back, chilling out here tonight. One guy we've seen towards the back, now up towards the front, the number 9 of Mike Rominger up into the 6th position.
And nice job for Mike Rominger. Haven't had a chance to speak much about him, and here he is making his way up to the front. looking to try to pull off another top 5. This is a winner earlier this season. Mike Robinger's not somebody who just runs in the back. This is a guy we typically see up front. So, but you know what? Going in the right direction at the right time for one of our past winners this season here in the RICMOTECH High Performance Truck Series.
As that 9, we saw him earlier get into the wall, and you see the right rear damage on that truck. Proof of battle scar.
Yeah, if you didn't get into the wall at one point today, it just means you weren't pushing it hard enough.
Exactly right. That's a Darlington phrase that works quite well around here, I must say.
I hope this track stays this way for such a long time, and I hope this new package for the next gens is going to be fun here because, my goodness, this is a fun track.
The 670 horsepower package is
promising.
A lot more promising.
Yes, exactly. We're liking that idea. As Jeremy Clifton is looking to hold off Bryce Senesac. He's made his way to the 3rd position. Brendan Book dropping to 4th, but do not doubt it. Brendan's a very patient driver, maybe just waiting for the right opportunity, saving some of those tires here for the end of this race.
It was the apron for the 34 there of Jordan McGraw, and that will allow Mike Rominger a look for his first attempt into the top 5 here tonight as Rominger holds that inside line after the mistake from the 34 of McGraw. Christopher Basinger right there as well. Christian DeBoer, he is now also starting to really recover. He was running up towards the top, running up in the top 5, earlier on tonight before he caught the wall.
Yep, and you can see just the games that these drivers are going to play in each other. As you see Ed Morris now going around the 26 of Daniel Holloway. So Ed finally making up a couple spots here as we get strung out. Just hopefully doesn't use up his tires too early trying to get around some of these drivers.
This is what I was talking about. You put yourself in the back of the field here with no real advantage. Restart in 13th. He's only up to 9th here. We've been green for a good 10 laps now here in this run, and Morris still now just getting into the top 10.
Yeah, so really it's going to be what kind of day can he recover for? I say you just got to pick him off one by one here in the long run. We've seen Ed overall pretty good in the long run. I think Brendan Book was a little bit better, but Brendan's also a really good long run racer, tends to really hold his tires well. So if Ed can pick him off one by one, maybe wait for a long run, late caution, maybe he's back in the top 5. I think I still definitely would not count him out. As you see, Ray Lane has made his way into the 11th position, peeking back at a top 10 again today.
Yep, Ray Lane having an absolutely fantastic race again after starting from pit road here tonight in that full throttle number 44. And looking back up to the 7 of Ed Morris, he's got his primetime teammate of Christian DeBoer right in front of him. And that might not mean much tonight, but it certainly will mean something next week when we go to the ridiculously high banks of the iRacing Super Speedway next week.
Yeah, we'll put up that little bit for everybody here. The next race at iRacing Super Speedway, very, very high banks. 60 laps around that monster racetrack. I think it's 3 miles. How big is that track completely?
Yeah, I think it's 3.5 miles. With it's about 3.5 miles and about 7 or 8 lanes wide.
Man,
with a good 55-degree banking in the corners. And just think, you're only using about 2 lanes of a 7-lane racetrack the entire night, the bottom 2.
Well, you can make some things happen a little bit higher if you need to.
If you need to, but it is quite a ways longer.
Yeah, but you carry some pretty good momentum.
Yes,
you can see a pass for the win possibly happening in a situation like that. Maybe someone kicking it up a little bit higher and cutting it down low. Maybe carry that momentum off of the turn and make up a ton of time. It's possible. I've seen it happen before. It's happened to me.
It certainly can work in your favor as Holtzer still leading from Jeremy Clifton and Bryce Senesac. Jordan McGraw now starting to fall towards the back here of this top 10. The 56 of DeBoer still hanging out on that outside. Morris still trying to follow him through as Rominger now up into the top 5 with Brendan Book just ahead of him. The 11, of Christopher Basinger right there as well.
Man, yeah, you can put a blanket over most of these drivers right here. A good 5 or 6 cars right on top of each other. as Brendan Book is looking to take the third position back away from Bryce Senesac. Bryce on that outside, though, is going to be a pest for Brendan Book to try to pass, and Mike Rominger sitting there as well, just trying to be patient, but that allows Christian DeBoer to get to his outside here as we complete lap 97, now on lap 98 of 135.
If you're looking for a breather, Kansas is not the track to do it, and
No.
the C-Class truck is not the automobile to pick. If you do not want close racing around a racetrack like this, you go to a track like Vegas, here, Chicagoland, you are around somebody the entire time, no breaks around a racetrack like this.
These the trucks and then at tracks, as you mentioned, like this one here in Vegas and Chicagoland, it just puts on some of the best racing that we get. It just excites me to be able to come back, broadcast these races, because boy, do they ever put on a show for us.
It's super speedway racing with a little bit of tire conservation thrown in. As we come out of turn number 4, James Holtzer will take the century mark, working lap 100. Here from Kansas Speedway, you're watching the RICMOTECH High Performance Truck Series. We'll be right back right after this with the final green flag pit stops and the race finale coming up right after this break.
RICMOTECH High Performance Sim Racing Equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, RICMOTECH has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com. RICMOTECH High Performance Sim Racing Equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
Working lap 103 of 135. We're about 10 laps to go here before the final pit cycle of the evening, as James Holtzer currently holds a 9/10 of a second lead over the 51 of Jeremy Clifton. Brendan Book not that far behind him. Then a little bit of a gap back to a wild group of cars. Bryce Senesac, Christian DeBoer, Mike Rominger, Christopher Basinger, Jordan McGraw, Ray Lane, Daniel Holloway, Jeremy Glenn. All of those cars from about 4th to 12th are all right there and in very close quarters with each other, as the 56 takes a big dive towards the inside. Just over 30 laps to go here at Kansas, and this race has flown by with little to no issues.
It is just fantastic. Look at this great view as these trucks come flying off of this turn. A ton of speed off of turn 2 as they go down the backstretch right now, going over 170 miles per hour as they dive here into turn 3. You see, as long as Bryce Senesac can stay right up in front of the number 9 of Mike Rominger, he's going to be able to really continue to carry the momentum and put a ton of dirty air on the nose of that 9 truck.
Love the flow of the dynamic cameras, don't you? It's so
I
nice.
love
coming
it.
out of turn 4. We're not that far away. We're between 5 and 10 laps away from the final pit stops here. These stops are going to be a little bit shorter. You're going to take 4 tires, but you are not going to need a full fuel load to get from here all the way to lap 135.
Yeah, you know, these trucks, they tighten up with less fuel in them, so you're gonna want to put just as much as you need and not an inch more, because you don't want it to get too loose on you either on those cold tires.
Well, you want to cover off a green-white checker just in case that does happen.
Absolutely.
It's just behind these two here as Rominger goes for the move on Senezak to the inside of 3 and 4. Brendan Book has made a move up into the second position against Jeremy Clifton. So second place has swapped. Right now about a second and a half behind James Holtzer in the 99, running that outside lane, which is exactly where you want to be this late in the run.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting to see what can Brendan do. We know he's fast, and he's really fast on these long runs. You know, and does he decide to short pit maybe and stun James Holtzer and see if he can pull up to a pretty good lead? We see Brendan save tires pretty well, so I think maybe he can try to make it work if he's got to pit early. It's Senezak, you're right, he's in.
Senezak and Rominger are both in here with just over 25 laps to go. As those two were battling just a moment ago for the 5th position, now they're in pit road. That is Joshua O'Connor in the 59. As James Holtzer, I'm noticing here, Holtzer doesn't necessarily have a problem in his rearview mirror. He's got a problem with his Wi-Fi, as there he goes.
Yeah, he's
blinking away here. He's been blinking quite a bit more over these last couple laps. Christian DeBoer in the 56 down pit road.
Alrighty, well, we're going to see these cars coming down pit lane here. We're going to have to see exactly, you know, where now these guys up front are running anywhere from 1 to 1.5 seconds slower than their fastest lap. So, including your race leader up front, currently 1.5 seconds off pace. So, you're going to gain a ton of time here. Some of these guys who just came down pit lane.
Still the fastest car on track, though, is the 99. 25 laps to go, and his connection issues are getting very noticeable. I'm sure Brendan Book is going to be pleading with race control, saying he's got to get that figured out, otherwise they might have to pull him off.
I'm sure James Holtzer said, I've got enough of a lead. Whatever my internet's doing, it's not going to affect you. That's what I would say, because you're right. I'd be saying the same thing either way.
Toto and Horner are both talking to race control right now. He's got a problem. No, we don't. We're good. Most of the guys up here in the top 10 still have not pit. And we are going to be awaiting, as here's Rob Griffin in the 36.
And Chris Akers in the 1.
Yeah. Akers in as well.
It's one of those situations where it starts to rain, and the guy in first said, yes, it's raining, it's pouring rain here. Brendan Book in second saying, it's clear skies where I'm at.
And on the inside line, Holtzer, he should be coming in this time. Yes, he is. Followed by the 51 of Jeremy Clifton. Boy, you got to love multi-groove racetracks here. Dead giveaway when they go to the inside what they're going to do. We don't have to guess at all.
Absolutely. Here comes Ray Lane as well. Looks like he made some pretty good time coming down pit lane here. Now right in the bumper, Jeremy Clifton.
The 1 and 36 had one heck of a race coming out of the pit boxes. I think it's going to be the 36 of Griffin who gets the nod off of that. Brendan Book now, he's staying out to try to give at least the least amount of time on the tires as possible so he can push a little bit harder than the 99, who's going to be looking for his second consecutive win. Christopher Basinger in pit road. Mike Franklin in behind him in the 82. Christian DeBoer sets the fastest lap of the race at a 30.72.
Man, I love how we saw that blink in front of our eyes and we both just jumped right to it. That's blazing fast.
Flying, yep. And he's gotten around Jeremy Clifton as well. Not past Holtzer, but he's gotten around Clifton, so he's effective second right now. Jerry Glenn, currently your race leader. He will get credit for a lap led now. Ed Morris in second.
As here comes Brendan Book, Jordan McGraw, and Kyle Knapp all come down pit lane here together.
And it is worth noting that Jerry Glenn and Ed Morris both came into pit under the caution on lap 80.
Oh, here comes...
As I believe Glenn, he was going really slow, as if he was out.
Yeah. I think just trying to keep it keep it safe. Don't wreck it.
Ed Morris gaining a lot of time on him on pit entry as Brendan Book comes out of pit road. That will give the effective race lead to back to James Holtzer. Bryce Senizak right there in the 9, the 26 of the 26 of Holloway. Mike Rominger in the 9 in the middle of it. There's Christian DeBoer in the 56. DeBoer is still flying.
Yeah, what a great lap. Each of the last couple laps for him. He's putting qualifying laps down right now, trying to make up as much time as possible. Why to see that affects him here? There is still 20 laps to go. That's a lot of time to gain and lose on those tires. But I gotta say, I don't know what all happened maybe to Brendan Book coming in and off pit lane.
Just gonna say.
But he's 5 seconds back now from James Holtzer. He's gonna need a caution if he wants to win this race.
Book was a second and a half behind the 99 in second. He is now fallen to 5.1 seconds behind in seventh.
Maybe
that's all from staying out a couple extra laps.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm going to probably have to admit I'm wrong. I don't think there's an issue on pit lane for that number 5, just simply staying out. It looks like Holtzer was on pit lane for 4/10 less.
That battle for second getting insane as now Christian DeBoer looks to the outside of Bryce Senizak here, coming to the line with 18 to go here, running full formation. As they come out of turn 4.
Oh my goodness, you got 4 trucks under a blanket here, 18 laps to go. The battle, forget first, the battle is for second. This is the show we're all here to see.
I think that's the problem, is they have forgotten about first, because Holtzer, before we went back to this battle, Holtzer was only 1.6 seconds ahead of this quartet. He's now 3 seconds ahead of him. So, yeah, I think they have forgotten about first, and I think that's the problem.
Well, I don't think it's a problem right now for Bryce Senizak. He's pretty happy.
Factor, but
yeah.
Going for the race win, though, is a little bit of an issue for these guys.
See Jeremy Clifton a little bit.
You cannot rely on a caution coming out here in this series. It just have been so few.
Yeah, you can't, you really have to base your strategy off of the data that you've been given in the last couple of races. I understand the first couple of races, you don't know how things might play out. Although RICMOTECH Truck Series has been around for quite a while, and it's overall, I think this is how it's been anyways. But anyway, you got to base your strategy off of that. You can have your strategy hope for a caution in a league that doesn't get cautions. Now, the same could be said, you can't hope for a long green flag run in a league that doesn't have long green flag runs. So you really got to base it upon what exactly is the league looking like. What is it going to hand to you, and what are you going to do with it?
James Holtzer is smiling a big grin under that blinking helmet, because he has now grown a 3.7 second lead over what was a 4-car pack, has now turned into 6, and all of these guys are going to be looking for the most points that they could possibly get here as we're heading down towards the end of the regular season here. Jeremy Clifton, who has been in the top 3 a majority of this race, has just gotten around to 26. He's now looking for the 56 and the 09 as well.
Man, trying to get a different jump on this one, but Bryce Senizak, hats off to you. 3 wide as they go into 1.
And it's going to be
Rominger's going to give it up.
Jeremy Clifton jumping up into that second spot, and look at Brendan Book following right through on that inside.
Wow, look at this racing. I just don't know who to look at first. These guys are all over the place. Clifton drives it in deep. He's going to try to pull the slide job as it come off turn 4. I think he's got the momentum. He's going to do it. Here comes Brendan Book trying to take third.
Yep, Clifton's got the speed. He's got the tires. Clifton coming in on lap 112. Book coming in on 114. The 09, the 56, the 9, and the 26 all coming in on either lap 108 or 109, as there's the 56 of DeBoer in the wall.
Oh man, that's gonna be killer for DeBoer right there. We'll back that up
that
just
will put
briefly.
DeBoer. Yep.
Oh yeah, just he was loose half.
Yeah, he got a big wiggle.
Oh my goodness.
You see that back end starting to slip.
You know what?
How you want to.
That's not a lot of damage for how sideways that thing was.
And that's exactly how sideways you want to be at Eldora, not necessarily here. as now Jeremy Clifton and Brendan Book will battle to see who will sit on the second step of the podium.
3 laps ago, these 6 trucks were within half a tenth of each other, and they have separated very quickly.
Completely different order than what they're in now.
We got 11 laps to go. James Holtzer is going to look to try to cruise with this one away. Only 4.2 second gap to second and third place Jeremy Clifton and Brendan Book. So caution for those two is going to save him. But at the same time, man, at what point does a caution come out and you say track position is more important?
I honestly, if caution coming out, I'm not sure. The only people who are gonna pit are gonna be people that have a set of tires in the bank.
Well, I think everybody should. We had we've had
some have come down 4 times. Most of the guys have come down 4 times. Daniel Holloway, Ray Lane. Well, Ray Lane's only 4. He started from pit road. Kyle Knapp has come down pit 6 times. Ed Morris 5. Akers 6. Pretty much everybody else on 4, so that should be your 4 tires gone.
But I think a couple of these guys, remember we had that one time where they came in and topped off on fuel and didn't take tires, so I still think most of these guys still have a set waiting for them in the pits. So if you've got a set, at what point, because if a caution comes out now, you have 5 laps to go.
Yeah.
If you're restarting back, you're going to restart at least somewhere, probably. I think you're going to have at least, it's going to be a split decision, half and half.
I would say it's going to be more of the cars from the back of the pack. And speaking of cars in the back of the pack, let's take a look back at 13th position, Ed Morris. Tonight is going to be a case of what could have been for him, because he was up there running for the race lead, running for second. Green flag pit stops on lap 77. Caution came out on 79. He came into pit to top off on lap 80, put himself into the 13th position where he currently sits right now, and just has not been able to claw back as high as he was before.
I'm going to say maybe he had more damage than what we're able to see, because he just has not been able to keep up. Yeah.
So that front end, and you're right, he was a part of that spin with the 28 of Wallace Boyce. So maybe that is exactly right. We may not be seeing the damage that 7 took, because he took a hard hit from that 26, as he's now looking for the 12th position against Rob Griffin.
Oh, his teammates.
In that Mega Cup Toyota.
Teammates with the 28. My apologies. They have very similar looking trucks, so I may have mentioned that, but different trucks. So we got 6 laps to go right now. James Holtzer coming off of turn 2. He's got himself a 4.3 seconds lead, as they still look to go back and forth here for second, but Brendan Book has gotten around Jeremy Clifton, just going to be not going to have enough time to make a difference here unless he gets a caution.
Yeah, Book made the pass on Clifton earlier this lap. Jordan McGraw currently running in the 4th spot, currently sitting 3.2 seconds behind. And he is now battling side by side with Bryce Senizak. This for the 4th spot with 5 to go, as this group of 4 here have switched order quite a few times, but have stayed together here since the pit stops on lap 109.
Yeah, I got to give it, nice recovery from McGraw. At one point, we saw him dropping back after kind of hitting that white line and kind of just couldn't recover from there somehow, and he got a nice recovery up to 4th place. As you mentioned, Ray Lane all the way up to 8th, currently our biggest mover and the only mover in the double digits.
Again, that's Ray Lane, having started from pit road here tonight, qualified inside the top 10.
He's looking for 2 more spots. Oh, that 56 is sideways off of 2.
Yeah, DeBoer has been sideways all night long pretty much. Now, Ray Lane has the same tire advantage on these 4 that Book and Clifton had.
Yeah, he's going to have a nice run through here. He's going to pick off 2 more here. He's going to try to take it 3 wide. He's thinking about it. He's got him. We're going to be 3 wide going here into turn 1. Oh, DeBoer almost makes contact with the wall. They're going to back out, but no, he is still there.
No, they're going to be 3 wide, though, coming out of turn 2.
Oh,
As that 4, big wiggle from the 9 of Rominger.
Yeah, Ray Lane backs off for just a moment. He's like, oh, I got 2 more laps. I can figure this out.
Goes up to that outside lane in 3 and 4, pardon me. As we're starting to wind down the laps here, James Holtzer up at the front of this field, 4 seconds clear, has a lap and a half to go.
Yep, Brendan Book ever so slightly faster this last time around, but again, not going to be enough. He's going to drive here, turns 3 and 4. James Holtzer is looking for that white flag. He's been looking for it for a while now. Next flag ends it. Can James Holtzer pull off back-to-back wins and further set himself atop of the point standings?
He's been in the race lead pretty much since the caution on lap number 37 that brought everyone back down pit road. He has been a dominant force the rest of this night to close out the first half of the season with a win at Michigan, and he will open up the second half with a win here at Kansas Speedway. James Holtzer goes back-to-back here at Kansas.
I'm going to go back to this battle that we are having here. Christian DeBoer is going to be able to eke out in front of Ray Lane as Mike Romger fell short to Ray Lane there for the 7th position.
What a night, though, for James Holtzer coming into this race with a 15-point lead over Nicholas Vroman, who did not show up here tonight. Comes out and gets max points. What a night for that 99.
Yeah, what a fantastic job there for James Holtzer. Man, what a finish for him there. It's Brendan Book again in second place, and Jeremy Clifton gonna come home in third place. Nice job for Clifton as well. Hung on there to the top 3 for basically the entire race once he finally got up there.
And you mentioned it a second ago, Jordan McGraw having a very good run, and this week with his connection issues fixed, Bryce Senezak showing a lot of pace in that 09, finishing up and rounding out that top 5 as we'll get our top 3 finishers in here in just a moment. Angel, I'm assuming we'll take Jeremy Clifton first here.
Yep, let's go ahead and jump
Let
me bring him over.
Once we get him in, as an incredible night here at Kansas Speedway comes to an end.
User
and
was
just
moved to your channel.
And just a reminder, as we're waiting for Jeremy Clifton to come in here, if you haven't had enough truck racing at Kansas, the Western States Racing League is live right now with James and Tony in the booth there. But Angel, I believe you have our third place finisher tonight, Jeremy Clifton.
I do, Jeremy. This is Angel and Frank from the ESBN broadcast booth. Have you got us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Jeremy, man, what a fantastic job today. You know, you just slowly, methodically made your way up to the front, kept your truck clean for most of the race, and you come home with a podium finish. What was the goal going into tonight, and how did your overall plan going into tonight's race change or stay the same?
My plan stayed the same. It was just ride the bottom the whole time and save tires. And there was a few times I wanted to go up top, and I was just, you know what, ride the bottom, keep the truck clean. Top 5's fine because I want to make sure I'm top 12 in points. And like I said, that was just my goal. Like, if I win, I win. And I told James if it came down to the last lap and I was that close to him, I was sending him through the catch fence. So.
Oh man, that is great, Jeremy. I love the passion from it. You know, from here, gentleman here from Statesville, North Carolina, with a fantastic race here at Kansas. I'm sure you got a couple people you'd like to thank before we let you go and celebrate this podium finish.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got to thank you guys for broadcasting it. I got to thank Throwback Brand. They make the greatest throwback hats, NASCAR themed, all kinds of hats. RICMOTECH for their sim racing stuff. Glory Polco for their flagpole mounts for vehicles, and Lee Boy for their world-class paving equipment. So, yeah, that's about it.
All right, Frank, have you got anything for Jeremy before we let him go?
Going into the Super Speedway next week at iRacing Super Speedway, what are your thoughts on going to that big, threatening track?
I'm not 100% sure on that because we did I think last season we played around with running like a recruitment race there, and I just rode around and rode around trying to make sure I didn't get any accidents, and then I took them 5 wide and finished like maybe 10 thousandths.
Wow.
Finished first by 10 thousandths. Yeah, it was a little crazy. So I'll probably ride in the back a little bit. I may be a little aggressive depending on what the points look like, but we'll have to see how that goes.
All right, Jeremy. Well, congratulations here on your podium finish. We'll go ahead and let you celebrate. Congratulations, and we will see you next week.
Appreciate it, fellas.
So that was your
User
third
was
place
moved out of your
finisher here
channel.
tonight. Jeremy Clifton will now go to our second place finisher,
User
Brendan
was moved
Book.
to your
Brendan,
channel.
you were up there running in the second position. What happened on that last pit stop that got you so far behind the race lead and the battle for second?
Yeah, I think there on that pit stop. I know I pitted 2 laps later there than James, and then Clifton pitted 1 lap before me as well. So I think that just the time with the older tires is really what did me in. And I was hoping the tires would make up for some of the damage that I had slightly from early contact. So it did a little bit, but I think I was just off like half a tenth to a tenth after that. So, but overall, still a really good race.
Now, the racetrack tonight, as it got darker, usually it gets a little bit grippier and a little bit quicker. With the damage on the right side of your truck, how loose did that truck get, or did the conditions of the race transitioning over to the dark, did that kind of help straighten you out?
Yeah, I don't think it hurt me too much as far as handling wise. It was more so just straightaway speed. I noticed that some guys were able to get up to top speed quicker than me. Like it took me all the way to the end of the straightaway, where some of them was like 3/4 down the straightaway, and I think that's really where it was. My truck felt fine, and as far as loose versus tight, I could still run the line I wanted. It was just that slight, like probably 1 to 2 mile an hour of the speed that I lost there.
Next week, we head to a quite a different monster. That would be the iRacing Super Speedway. What are your thoughts going into that race, and how do you think you're going to tackle the big 7-lane monster?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty fun. I love super speedways, but I've never done a league race there. I've only done just like hosted races on iRacing. So I'm interested to see how people are gonna drive, if they're gonna be aggressive, if they're gonna take it easy early on. Especially considering a win could get someone in the playoffs with it being the last race. So I know me, I think I'm pretty good in a point cushion. I think I'm locked in now points. So I'm probably just gonna go out there pretty hard, honestly, and just try to have fun.
Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate?
Just all teammates at GTM. We do a real good job working with each other during the race. Lap times, tires, etc., and strategy, and then also D-dub button boxes for being the car, butt kicker as well. It's been fun so far this year.
All right, there he is, your second place finisher tonight, Brendan Book. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
That was our second place
User
finisher,
was moved out
Brendan
of your
Book. And
channel.
now Angel will close out the interviews tonight with our
User
race
was
winner,
moved to your
back-to-back
channel.
race winner, James Holtzer.
James Holtzer, this is Angel and Frank in the ESBN broadcast booth. You got us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
There we go. We got you now. All right, James, congratulations. Back-to-back wins. Once again, you do it in the sense where we don't know where you are to start the race, and then you figure out a way to get to the front, and you just stay there. Was that part of the plan today? Did it work out faster than you expected? Go over with us what was going through James Holtzer's head throughout the race tonight.
Yeah, we were just trying to take it slow and steady. Didn't really know what was going to work. Didn't get any practice in. Just kind of went in cold in qualifying. So we started, I can't even remember where we started at. But nonetheless, though, we just kind of took our pace and worked our way up to the front. And then once we got there, we just kind of set sail. And we were just able to get enough of a gap. It worked out to our advantage because the short pitters came out behind me, but in front of Book and Clifton. So was able to make some ground there. And then they had to, take some time to get around them.
Yeah, that was it worked out pretty well for you getting to get out in front of Brendan Book and really just put on a ton of distance and really cruise it to the end. James, now you've got yourself another victory. You now sit atop of the leaderboard for the league with the most wins. And as Frank has asked the last couple of guys here, we move to ISS next week with multiple wins in your back pocket now and a pretty good size lead. A pretty good size points lead. What's the plan going into next week?
I mean, nothing really changes. Just with the super speedway, especially, just gonna try to be conservative towards the beginning and make our way up towards the end because these trucks are gonna be pretty tough because you can't really push and it's gonna be pretty tough going. So just gonna try to take it easy early and try to put ourselves in position. But most of these guys, kind of already know where they're gonna finish at. As I believe iRacing Super Speedway is the last race of the regular season, so. Everybody's going to kind of know where they're at points wise, and some might be more desperate than others, but we're pretty much locked in on points. Well, actually, we're locked in with the win, so we'll be good to go for next week.
All right, Frank, you got anything for our back-to-back race winner today?
I'm good.
All right, James, go ahead and give your shout-outs, whoever you'd like to thank before we let you go home and celebrate another big victory.
Yeah, always got to thank you guys in the booth for doing a fantastic job. I really enjoy rewatching these broadcasts. You guys do a fantastic job. I don't know if the lobby was doing something there at the end, but my quality was really dropping. So I'm sorry if you were on me and it was blinking out really hard. I was trying to do something. I don't know what it was going on there. But yeah, shout out to GT Motorsports, too, for having a really good performance this week. I know a couple of us got caught up in that non-caution where Knapp got stuck in the wall and that kind of killed Starling's race. But we went 1-2-3, and then Jordan McGraw, who was also in our chat, went P4. So shout out to them. And then got to thank JP Designs for being the primary sponsor on the car every week. Go ahead and check them out on Facebook. Scheme starting at just $5, and they have package deals as well. And then just got to thank everybody else in the car with Laurel Auto Group, Raised Energy, Butt Kicker, and Next Level Motorsports for being on the car this season as well. And look forward to seeing you next week. And thank you.
Our pleasure, James. Fantastic job. Congratulations on yet again another victory.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
So that was your race winner, James Holtzer. And Angel, one heck of an entertaining night here at Kansas Speedway, just starting to come down now from just a wild night with excitement all the way through.
Are you surprised at all? I mean, it's Kansas in the trucks.
No, not really.
And then you have a series like this where the racing is just fantastic every week, doesn't matter the racetrack, and you put them on one of the best. My goodness, I was really looking forward to tonight, and I'm glad I wasn't disappointed.
Well, the points are updated and ready to look. Well, we're ready for us to look at. We don't have the graphic. We don't have the graphic for that updated yet.
Oh, yeah,
but right now, James Holtzer boasting a nice, I believe it's I can't do quick math. It looks like a 22-point lead or 23-point lead over Brendan Book in the point standings right now. That's pretty considerable as Vroman falls all the way back into a tie for fifth with John Sterling.
Almost crazy to think of how dominant Vroman's been. To think at, it's just because some of these guys, maybe they're not winning races. They're finishing top 5 consistently to keep up with those guys winning races.
It's James Holtzer at 374, Brendan Book at 348. After that, it's Ed Morris at 334. Then it's Jordan McGraw at 329. And then it's Vroman and Sterling at 310 apiece. So it's certainly going to be tight, and it's going to be close. Also, coming towards the bottom, that playoff cutoff, Chris Akers on the outside looking in. He's actually tied on points with Kyle Knapp. So the 1 and the 42 are going to be looking for big races and looking at each other going into next week at iRacing Super Speedway.
Oh, goodness. iRacing Super Speedway is going to put on another heck of a show, especially for those guys maybe looking to make their way into the playoffs. But even regardless, it's a fun track, and you're going to... Jeremy mentioned it. He took it 5 wide in a recruitment race to win it. I can only imagine what he's willing to do in a league race to make sure he wins that race. So I expect this to be 5 wide a couple times next week.
Well, the track is plenty wide enough for it, but before we go to next week, let's take a look at the finishing results here for this week. James Holtzer, Brendan Book, and Jeremy Clifton, GT Motorsports domination up here at the front of the field, rounding out the podium positions and taking a pretty solid points lead over Prime Time in the team standings now, 415 to 404 in the team standings. Jordan McGraw and Bryce Senizak rounding out the top five. Christian DeBoer, Ray Lane, Mike Rominger, Kyle Knapp, and Daniel Holloway rounding out the top 10. Christopher Basinger and Ed Morris round out the top half of the field.
Rob Griffin and Chris Akers, 13th and 14th tonight. Mike Franklin in 15th. Tom Massey is going to round out your 8th row here. You have Jerry Glenn going to come home in 17th. Using some pit strategy. Didn't quite work out for him overall, but nice job on him. Really did try something else there. John Sterling, we saw involved in one of those incidents that kind of brought out that final caution there. Joshua O'Connor in 19th. Wallace Boyce would finish in 20th. Don Milkowitz, 21st. David Elliott in 22nd. Alan Hilton, 23rd. And Michael Thwaites is going to round out your field here in the 24th position after some heavy contact for him. Took him out pretty early.
Bad night for Alan Hilton and Michael Thwaites as they both finish 100-plus laps down. So that will do it for us tonight. As we had mentioned before, if you have not gotten your trucks at Kansas filled tonight, the Western States Racing League is under caution right now on lap 35 of 107 from Kansas. So why don't you flip on over there and take a look at the Western States Racing League. Support those guys. Tell them that we sent you over here for the RICMOTECH series. We will be back next week at the same time, coming from the iRacing Super Speedway. For my broadcast partner, Angel Santiago, my name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Have a fantastic night, everybody.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.